This is going to be a little bit faster paced of a class than what we've been doing. So I encourage you to just do what you can. Modify when you need to, slow down when you need to. You don't need to match my pace. I'm just guiding you through the sequence. But you feel free to take your time in each posture, to modify as you need to. Really listen to your own body. We're going to start today's practice in a child's pose. Knees together or wide. Whatever feels best in your body. If the knees are together, you'll feel more of a rounding in your spine. If your knees are wider, you can lengthen the spine a little bit longer as you reach. And find a moment to settle here. To relax your shoulders. Maybe you want to move your head side to side, massage the forehead. Whatever you need to check in. Maybe that's moving, maybe that's staying still. Notice what's tight, what's a little more open. Set an intention or notice what you might need in your practice today. Start to think about what you might need in your practice today. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice if you can start to let go of your day so far. Arrive here in this present moment. Give yourself this time, this moment, this space. Now start to add a little bit of movement, just walking your fingertips over towards the right. Maybe it's really little. You might even be able to reach up off of the mat. Either way, feeling a big stretch in the left side of your body, but keep both shoulders angled down towards the mat. You can turn your head any way that feels good. So you might want to stack your left hand on top of the right for a little bit deeper of a stretch. Maybe not. Notice how this feels opening up the whole left side rib cage. Send your breath to open up the side of the body. On your exhales, ground your hips down and back. Slowly come back through center. Pause in the center. Notice how each side feels. Then take the other side. Again, maybe your hands stay on the mat. Maybe you can walk them off. Maybe right hand on top of left. Open up the whole right side rib cage. Breathe into that open space. Exhale, allow your hips to sink back and down. Walk yourself back to center. Pause in the center again. Next, we're going to take a twist. So walk your hands up a little bit. Maybe you need to change or adjust where your knees are. Thread the needle. Left arm sweeps under. You might even come up to a tabletop to give your hips some room to sweep as you land down onto the bottom shoulder. Your hips can stay high over your knees, or it might feel better to sink them back towards your hips, whatever feels best for you. So I'm going to stay here today. Maybe you take the other way. Your top arm, or your right hand, can stay kind of like this kickstand. You can always reach it out long in front of you, or you can wrap it back behind you, taking a little half bind. And this allows you to go a little bit deeper into your twist. If I keep my arm long, I feel more length along my spine as I twist. So I'm going to stay here. You take whichever variation feels best for you. Relax your neck, relax your head, and relax your shoulder. If you're feeling any tension in your neck, you might work to draw the shoulder down a little more towards your knees. Gives you a little more space in that area. Big neck stretch. Slowly make your way back up. Use the help of your kickstand to come back to center. You might want to shimmy the shoulders in between. Take the other side. Right arm sweeps through. Land on your shoulder. Again, hips can stay high, or you might want them down more towards the floor. Top arm can be a kickstand, extended long, or wrapped back behind you, half bind. Maybe you want something different on each side. Maybe you want to take what you took on the other side. Just listen to your body, to your spine. Come back to center. If your hips are on your heels, bring them back up. Find your way in a tabletop. Hands on your shoulders, knees under hips. Press into the floor, engage your arms. So make sure your elbows aren't bending. Try and find that internal rotation of the triceps, internal rotation of the elbows. A few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, lift your chest, tailbone high. Exhale, push into the floor, round your spine more. Inhale, lift. Cow, belly drops, chest high. Exhale, push into the floor. Notice if you can feel the articulation of each vertebra as you move the spine. A few more rounds. You might want to add on some extra movement, side to side, some extra twists, bending of the elbows. Whatever it is you need, make up some movement. Start to really connect movement to breath. Vinyasa. When you're evened out, pause back in the center, nice flat back. Slight core work by extending your right leg out. Tips of your toes can graze the mat. Start to just rock forward and back. We're going to do a bit of warming up for the feet and for the ankle. You'll also feel a stretching in the back of your calf muscle as you shift forward and back. And you're also starting to really wake up the shoulders. So you might start to feel the shoulders working a bit more. Once you feel a little bit more loose, bring the knee back down. Take the other side. Extend your legs, shift forward and back. Notice how this calf muscle might be a little bit tighter. Maybe the webbing of the toes are a little bit tighter. Breathe. And make your way back to center. You might want a round of cat-cow to loosen up your spine. Now we're going to walk the hands back. We're going to warm up the hands a bit too. Maybe you come all the way back to the heels. Then place your hands on the floor. Just enough. Lift your hips up just enough. And walk your hands a little bit forward just enough that you can start to kind of walk the hands around, stretching out the wrists. So as they face forward, you can rock forward and back. As they turn out, you can rock side to side. You might be able to bring the fingertips in towards your knees and rock forward and back. A big stretch to the front of the wrists. And it's okay if you're not finding the flexibility in your wrists enough to have them facing towards you, just as close as you can. When you're finished with that, we're going to bring the tops of the hands to the mat. Now this is a little bit trickier, a little bit deeper of a stretch. We're not used to stretching the tops of our hands this way. Again, you can rock forward and back. Move the hands, rock side to side. Just walk the hands around, finding every last little motion you need in the hands. And when you're finished, sit back on the heels. And it's okay if you're not all the way on your heels. You might even sit on a block in order to ease this flexions between your knees and your hips. But either way, bring your palms together. Do some circles with your hands. Maybe shake out the hands. You can stretch each finger one by one, pulling them back towards you. Really prepping the hands for all the downward facing dogs that we'll be doing. All of the postures, the foundation, are well your feet, but also your hands if your hands are on the mat. We're going to stretch out the feet next. Okay, so after you've done that, maybe shake them out one last time. We're going to do a big stretch for the toes, not too long because it's a pretty intense stretch. Tuck your toes and sit back on your heels. First, make sure that your pinky toe isn't also tucked under. So mine always tucks under. I have to stretch it out or pull it out a little bit wider. Again, you might want to sit on a block to kind of relieve some of the tension in your toes, but also flexion in your hips and your knees. We won't be here for too long. See if you can stay with your breath. Don't hold your breath. Inhale. Lift your chest. Exhale, draw your shoulders back. See if you can settle a little bit more. No pain in the toes. Breathe through. Very slowly lift your hips off. Remove the block if you had one. Flip the toes and tap them out a little bit. Don't be afraid to make some noise. Tap out the feet, tops of the feet, roll out the ankles. Now your hands and your feet are all warmed up for our first downward facing dog. Press the hands, tuck your toes again, lift your hips high and back. Downward facing dog, big V shape with the body. Feel free to pedal out the feet, shimmy the hips. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Internal rotation of the arms, so triceps are internally rotated so the insides of your elbows are towards each corner of your mat. Head heavy, hips high. Maybe bend the knees to keep the spine nice and long. Shake out your head. Now we're not going to move into sun salutations just yet. First, bend your knees. Step your right foot forward and bring your back knee down. Now if your front foot didn't make it to the top of your mat, so we made it to the middle of the mat, just to pick it up and help it forward right between your hands. Now first we'll start with the back toes tucked. Just kind of shift forward and back. Maybe you exaggerate that movement and come way far and way forward. You can use the help of blocks. We're going to say blocks, but it could be any prop you have. Maybe it's a textbook, a pillow, whatever it is that you have around. Use something to bring the floor a little bit closer to you so you have a little more leverage and you're not dumping down anywhere. Now, come back to center and flip your back foot down. Then take another round forward and back. Notice you have a little more room here now that you can kind of release the foot more. As you come forward, you might start to open your knee out a little bit more. As you come back, you might be able to lift your front toes up off the mat. If you're tight, this might be a little bit challenging. You can walk your blocks forward and back as you move. Okay, when you're evened out, when you're loosened up, when you're ready, knee over ankle. Round down through the back foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Scissor your legs. Right hip back, left hip forward, so that your hips are even and parallel to the front of the mat. Shoulders soft, lift your waist. Next, exhale, land your hand to frame your front foot. Keep your left hand down and twist towards the right leg. Yeah. You might need a block here to help you stabilize, help you find your balance. Keep drawing the right hip back, left hip forward, maybe look up towards the ceiling. Next, exhale, land your hand to frame the front foot. Tuck your back toe and press yourself all the way back to a downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog is ever too much for you, I encourage you to come into a tabletop. It's a perfectly fine neutral position. So when we step forward for our next side, you can just step the foot forward. Otherwise, if you have a little more energy in you, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, left foot forward, back knee down. Start with the back toes tucked and shift forward and back. I'm going to use my blocks. To keep my body up. When you're ready for a little bit more, you can untuck the back toes. Maybe you shift the back knee a little bit further back so you have more room. As you come forward, you might open your knee out to the side. As you come back, you might be able to lift your toes. Take some time. You're warming up the hip joint and the legs is what you're doing here. And also starting to find some balance through the midsection of your body. So notice as you come back, you tend to kind of fall to one side. You're trying to maintain or build the core balance strength in the middle of your body. When you're even, knee over ankle. Hands frame your front foot. Keep your right hand down and twist towards the left. Again, you can use a prop, block, something to help you stay lifted and not dumping into this bottom shoulder. Really push into the floor or your prop So you're lifting up out of the shoulder as you reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, frame the front foot, tuck the back toe, press back, downward facing dog. Now we're going to move a little bit more. Inhale, come up high on the toes. Exhale, take little steps to the top of your mat, stretching the hamstrings as you reach the top. Maybe at the end you have to bring hands to feet. Widen your feet, grab onto opposite elbows, hang in a ragdoll. Sway side to side. Really bend your knees so that your belly is on your thighs and you have room to really get heavy down to the floor. Release the hands, walk your feet together. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, root through the feet and rise all the way up to stand. Palms come to the center of the chest. We're going to take one round of just basic sun salutation. Arms by your side, palms face open, lift your chest. Inhale, arms up overhead, extended mountain pose. Keep your shoulders over your hips, belly in. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees, head heavy, land the hands. Inhale, long spine, flat back, chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale, land your hands, step back to your first plank pose. Heels high, balls of the feet pushing down into the floor, nice long spine. You can always drop to the knees as you need to, but keep the belly in, keep the core working. Wherever you are, drop to the knees for the first chaturanga. Shift forward, hug the elbows in, lower all the way down to the floor. Inhale, flip your toes. Just gently lift the chest up off the mat. Exhale, land down, tuck the toes. Finish your exhale, pressing all the way back to downward facing dog. Take a breath. On your next inhale, come up high on the toes. Walk yourself to the top of the mat. Inhale, long spine, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms to the center. Pause. That was one round. Next is going to be a round of sun salutation B, sun B. Just adding on a chair and adding on a warrior one, and then eventually a sequence. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, suck the belly in, sit back and down, chair pose. Belly in. Now you don't have to sit very far down. Focus on sitting far back, hinging from the hips. Squeeze your legs together, root down through the feet. Arms strong overhead, next to your ears. Biceps with the ears, relax your shoulders. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, land your hands, step back to plank pose. Knees or toes for your chaturanga. Shift forward, elbows in lower. Inhale, flip the toes, press the chest up, shoulders back. Maybe you need to land the knees. Stay in a modified up dog or modified cobra. Exhale, down dog. Bend your knees, step your right foot forward, back heel down, rise up, warrior one. Square your hips. Front knee is over the front ankle. Both legs are engaged. You're not dumping all of your weight forward. Keep the back leg engaged as well. Really strong through this back leg. Push through your back heel. Lift your chest. Exhale, lay on your hands. You have a choice. You can step right back to down dog, or you might continue with a flow. So that's this second half, really, of the sun salutation. Plank, shift forward, lower down, elbows in, flip the feet, chest forward, exhale, downward dog. If you've still stayed in downward facing dog, we're all going to meet back there. Bend the knees, left foot forward, back heel down, rise up, warrior one. Take your time to get there. Maybe it wasn't as fast as I did. The transition is just as important as the posture itself. So really be mindful through the transitions, then you'll find more ease once you get into the posture. Scissor the legs, right hip forward, left hip back. Exhale, land your hands again, down dog or a flow. Then shift forward, lower down. Inhale, flip the feet. It's okay if your hips are touching the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Wherever you are, meet back in down dog or tabletop if that's something that you need right now. Walk yourself to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, suck the belly in. Chair. We start with chair, we end with chair. Body weight to the heels, knees back, belly in. On your next inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, palms to the center. That completes Sun B. Now we'll add more to the standing flow sequence, and then we'll slow it down a bit. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, suck the belly in, sit back in down chair. One big inhale, one big exhale. Inhale, flat back, chest forward. Exhale, land your hands, plank pose. Again, knees down is always an option. Shift forward, hug the elbows in and lower. Inhale, press the chest up. Really make sure the elbows aren't bent here. Strong in the arms. If you can't come up quite as high, then stay in a cobra with the elbows bent and the belly on the floor. Wherever you went, tuck the toes, exhale, press back, downward dog. Bend the knees, right foot forward, back heel down, rise up, warrior one. And we're just staying here very briefly. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Now you're going to widen your stance, heel in line with the arch, sit nice and low, right knee over ankle. Again, both weight or equal weight in both legs. Belly in, lift your chest. Put the palms, reach back, peaceful warrior. Exhale, cartwheel your hands, frame your front foot. Flow or down dog, or tabletop, or child's pose. Child's pose is always an option. Do whatever your body is asking for now. Maybe you need a little more heat, a little more energy as you flow. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left foot forward, back heel down, rise up. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Take your time to widen your stance. I might be moving too fast for you. Really take your time to set it up. Heel in line with the arch. Sit nice and low. Open your chest. Now with a strong foundation, you can move on. Peaceful warrior. Flip the palm, reach back. Exhale, cartwheel your hands, frame your foot. Flow or down dog. So you're starting in a plank. Shift as you lower. Inhale, press up. Exhale, press back. If you're in a tabletop during any of those, you can always just take a cat-cow. Wherever you are, tabletop or down dog, step your right foot forward again. We're going to rise back up to warrior one. Exhale, open out warrior two. Widen your stance. Adding on here. The palm, reach back, peaceful warrior. On your next inhale, new posture, straighten your leg and reach up a little bit higher, finding more length through the right side body. On your exhale, triangle pose, arms come down, shift your hips to the left and reach as much as you can to the right until you vertical the arms. Block is always very helpful here, landing down, reaching up. Belly in, open your left shoulder towards the ceiling. Use the reach of the left fingertips to bring you all the way back up to center. Turn your toes. Hinge all the way forward. Standing separate leg. Stretch. Lead with your chest as you come down. Shake out your head here. Take a moment. You might want to shift forward and back. You might want blocks underneath your hands. You might need to bend your knees. All is fine. Wherever you are, you should feel a big stretch through the back of your legs, the back of your hamstrings. Take some time, listen to your body, make up some movements that feel good to you. Pause back in the center. Walk your hands all the way to frame your front foot, turn your toes, land your hands, flow, down dog or tabletop. Flow is step back, shift forward, elbows in, flip the toes, come up. Again, you might need to land the knees. Exhale, press back, down dog. Same thing other side, left foot forward, back heel down, warrior one. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Widen your stance, ankle in line with your arch. Nice tall chest. Flip the palms, reach back, peaceful warrior. On your next inhale, straighten your legs, sky archer. Lift up more towards the ceiling, creating length through the left side rib cage. Exhale, triangle pose. Arms come through the center. Shift your hips to the right. Reach as much as you can to the left and vertical the arms. Use a block for this bottom hand if you need to. Otherwise, you're just resting it on your leg. You're trying not to collapse here. Stay lifted, open. Open your right shoulder more towards the ceiling. Hips more forward. Engage both legs. Don't forget about your back leg. Use the reach of the right fingertips to bring you all the way back up. Turn the toes and hinge forward. You might keep the arms out wide. You might want to place them on your hips. Second round of forward stretching, separate leg stretching. Take whatever you need here. Make it up. Shift forward and back. Maybe you want to try walking your hands out and walking them back down. We're going to add on two postures here. Adding a little bit of balance, a little bit of more strength before we kind of slow down. Bring your hands back to center. Bend your knees and turn your toes out. Hips forward as you lift up. This is called goddess squat. Hips are forward. So rather than squatting back like you were on a squat rack, it's sitting straight down. Tailbone down, hips more forward, knees are working to open out. Make sure your knees are pointing in the same direction as your toes. So that's why I have toes out, heels in to protect the knees. Lift your chest. Now you might stay right here. I'm going to add on some extra challenges if you'd like. You can try lifting one heel at a time. So by now the arches of your feet should be pretty warmed up for this. You might try to kind of shift the weight as you lift one heel at a time. You might try both at once. You can also try bringing your hands to the center of the chest. Really focus on one point. Maybe shift side to side here. Notice if you're getting a little bit shaky, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Wherever you went, land the heels down, straighten the legs for a moment. Maybe shimmy the hips a little bit, shake out the head. One more posture here. You can walk your feet in a little bit closer, just a smidge. Bend the knees, land your hands down on your thighs. Horse stance is sometimes called. We're just gonna dip one shoulder at a time to get some big twists in our spine. Inhale, lift through center. Exhale, twist. Elbow or shoulder down. Inhale, twist, up. Exhale, twist, look over the opposite shoulder. So this might be a really small movement for you. You might be able to come really far. Take your time. Inhale through center. Exhale to the side. Follow your own breath. Come back to the center. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes forward and hinge forward. Just so we can reset, walk yourself to the front of the mat. Turn the toes. Move through a flow, down dog, or tabletop. Flow is the plank. Shift forward, knees or toes as you lower, elbows in. Inhale, flip the feet. Exhale, press the hips back. Make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back, chest forward. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, belly in. Sit back and down, chair. One more balance challenge. See if you can lift the heels up as you sit back and down in your chair. Now notice the legs are shaky, the calves are shaky. Lift your heels up higher. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up overhead. Just stretch up. Add a little back bend here if it feels good. Hips forward. Lift up out of the low back. Lift your waist. Lift your chest. Let the head travel a little bit further back. Come back to center. Palms to center and pause. Notice the heat in your body. Maybe you even broke a little bit of a sweat. Aim to slow the breath down. To slow the heart rate, slow the body down. You can connect your body and your breath here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, land your hands, step back to a tabletop this time. And press back, child's pose. And I encourage you to bring your knees together for this one, because then you can bring your arms back behind you. Let the shoulders drop heavy, embryo pose. A big release to the shoulders after all of that work. Breathe. Slowly walk yourself up. Sweep your legs out in front of you. Make sure you have enough room so you can lie down on your back with the knees bent. Soles of the feet to the floor. We're going to take a bridge pose here. Sealing with a backward bend. Make sure that your feet, so the first thing to check is that your heels are close enough that they're just grazing the fingertips. Now, depending on the proportion of your body, that might not be the right measurement. So you also want to try and keep your knees stacked over your heels. So I need to actually push my heels a little bit further forward so that my ankle is right underneath my knee. So you're kind of finding the middle ground between the two, whether you can graze the heel with your fingertips and have your heel underneath your knee. Once you find that sweet spot, push into the floor with your heels. Roll the spine up. Now, you're not just squeezing the glutes to get yourself up there. You're using the whole lower body. Really push into the floor with the legs. Engage your thighs. Open your chest. If you want a little bit more, you can shimmy your shoulders underneath you. Grab the hands underneath you. And lift your hips up even higher. Breathe. Open up the whole front side of the body. This should be very relieving for the front hip flexors, as well as opening up your chest more. Release the hands, lift the heels up high, and roll down vertebra by vertebra, really slow. Great. Then hug your knees in and rock side to side. Massaging the low back. Take any extra movements you need, maybe circling the hips, moving the knees side to side, adding little mini twists as you move. Make it up. Check in. One last stretch for the hips. Happy baby. Feet to the ceiling. You can grab onto your big toe, maybe the inside of your foot or the outside of your foot. You might only be able to grab the bottoms of your thighs. Totally fine. All good. Wherever you are, push the feet up towards the ceiling as you pull your knees towards either side of your body. You should feel a big stretch in the inner hip crease. You might stay here. You might rock side to side. You can also kick one leg out if that feels really good, if you need to stretch for the hamstrings as you move. Just make sure you even it out wherever you're going. Maybe you've chosen to stay static. The last thing we'll do before Savasana is bring the legs straight up in the air. Here's your inversion practice, kind of switching up the blood flow, allowing the blood to come back to center of the body, the energy to come back to center. You might also add the arms. It's called dead bug pose. You can rotate the wrists, rotate the ankles. You don't have to stay perfectly stationary here. Just check in with how this feels through the extremities. and how grounded the middle of your body feels. When you're finished, hug the knees in and lay them long on the mat, Savasana. It might feel good for you to have your feet grounded down to keep the low back connected. Maybe to extend the legs long. Either way, arms can be by your side. Maybe you want to rest the hands on your belly, maybe not. You might want to take up some more room on your mat. However your Savasana looks or feels, eyes open or closed, heavy down to the mat. Somewhere where you can be comfortable and stay. To soak in the benefits of your practice. All of your hard work. Each time you pushed yourself. And each time you listened to your body and maybe backed out a bit. Maybe you honored your body by modifying or taking it slower or pausing. All of that is part of your yoga practice. Soak it all in. Observe and reflect on the times where you were strong, where you were flexible, where you could do a shape that maybe you haven't done before. Again, all of that is your practice. Give yourself time in this moment to take it all in. And as your mind starts to wander to the next thing, see if you can gently, with no judgment, guide it back to your breath, to this moment on your mat. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Make little movements in the fingers, the toes. Maybe you start to rock the head side to side. You might want to take a full body stretch, reaching fingers and toes. You might want to hug the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe you want both. You might want to roll over onto one side. Whatever you need. Eventually, you'll make your way to a seat. Eyes open or closed. Nice, comfortable, cross-legged seat or legs out in front of you. Tall spine, shoulders down, settle the hips. Notice what's changed in your body and your breath. Maybe feel a little bit taller, definitely warmer, more energy. Maybe feel tired. Just notice, observe. Soak in the benefits of your practice along with your Savasana. And aim to carry all of that with you when you leave your mat. Your practice comes with you. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open them. Come back to the room. Give yourself a final moment to thank yourself for your practice. And I thank you so much for sharing it here.